Kakou kapoe o ke ia ai. A ke akua I koho ai luna. Mai ka mua a hiki ka hopena.
In 1973, the plantation announced that they would be closing. In 1975, I believe the plantation closed its doors.
The plantation closing, well, what can you do? You're moving on to cheap labor, so, what can you do? They're all looking for money gains.
Well, at that time I was about, 10th grade. A lot of confusion in the community, a lot of sadness. Mostly confusion because we couldn't see the future, what was going to happen to our town.
And all of the sugarcane lands were leased out to ranchers for the raising of cattle. And so they erected fences, put up gates, and the ranchers started to lock their gates, which restricted a lot of the areas to the mountains and the oceans to the community.
To me, that just wasn't right, because the whole community, it's our inherent right to have access, to have the ability to fish and to hunt and to get natural resources, to supplement your income, to eat, And the whole community deserves that.
We never expected to run into problems getting to the ocean or getting to the mountains. And again, the fences coming up, we figured it's to keep the cows in. We never could see ahead that it was to keep the people out eventually. We never knew that one day we're gonna get up and they say, hey, you can't go in here, you can't go there. So this was one of the confusions being revealed, that now this was part of the change of Kohala.
You could just go, but now since the plantation phased out,
Life goes on. You just gotta do what you gotta do and make the best of it.
It mattered. It mattered because it was, to a point, life and death. Life and death of the spirit, life and death of your way of life and what mattered most to you. And it is when you are able to get back to the mountains, get to the ocean, there's a sense of spirit, of connecting with the spirit, connecting to the source when you do that. So that, for me, meant a lot to me, and I'm sure for the old timers who lived lives much more depending on land than I ever did. So there were a lot of people that did fight as if it was life or death.
I just thought about, hey, you're taking away something that I'm doing all the time. That's not right. And then when I was working for the state, the high school security, you had all these teenagers there that were hunting. And they needed somebody to somehow get this problem corrected, where they wouldn't be called outlaws, where they wouldn't be branded as lawbreakers. And that's what all of this happened when the ranchers came into Kohala and locked up everything. They made us criminals.
Now, around in 1975 or soon after, Joe wasn't making much headway. And so he realized that. And so he came to me. And so I took over the Access Committee, and I didn't really know what to do. There was this grant by Humanities where we could deal with the issue of the access by getting resource people and first try to understand the problem from all sides.
but we really got people starting to think about access, and then recognizing the fact that federal law and state laws, to remind them that the shoreline belongs to the people below the vegetation line and access must be preserved. And it made the people realize that they had a right to access to the land and that the landowners had to provide access.
One of the reasons why I strongly went to that, to the meetings was because I used to live up in the mountains. Having that lifestyle and growing up that way, the access to the mountains meant a lot to me because that was my connection to my roots.
We did hunting from a very young age. Hunting was a way of life. It was a chore. It was a culture. Pig hunting was food for your table. It was also a good way to barter in the community. With your neighbors and vegetables, you'd swap some smoked meat or whatever way you prepared it. Also, gathering was involved, vegetation, fruits. It was a day's work. It wasn't just pig hunting or a sporting event, it was work. And the most important of all was you took only what you needed. You did what the Hawaiians did before. They only took what they needed. They never abused the land. You took care of the land also, the Aina. You never abused it.
So I went back to the community and started to search out, in this case, Hawaiians, because I work for Awaliki, and my one of the objectives was to help Hawaiians with their socioeconomic problems, and this was one of those. And so I began to search out potential leaders who could take on this effort of getting access. And so this was like the core guys, Akatami, Benny Raymond, Samson Casimiro. This is the trio, the three guys.
We had one attorney, you know.
His name was Tim Louis Kwan. He was an attorney with Legal Aid Society. And in talking with Tim, I said, we got this problem on Kohala Access. So he said, you know what, that's one of the priorities for Legal Aid Society. I can help you guys. I thought, great. Now we had an attorney that gave us a little bit empowerment to deal with the issue from a legal point of view. They came under a lot of ridicule, even myself. People felt that no way are you, a plantation worker, going to beat Kakou and Cook. You're not going to beat Kohala Sugar Company. I remember somebody said, what do you think you guys are? Just a bunch of nobodies. And basically, yeah, that's who we were. A bunch of nobodies. But I'd have to say that they didn't have any, important job titles. No, there were laborers in the plantation, truck drivers. But what they had was, they had courage to stand up against a huge corporation like Kakou and Cook. The committee was going to meet, along with our attorney, Tim Louis Kwan, with Bob Suimura of Kakou and Cook.
Go to them and talk nice about, the place and whatnot, and, don't go over there and yell at them and whatnot, and for sure, something would come out. Just talk nice and whatnot. Okay.
And as I sat there, I looked at Benny Raymond. Benny had a very worried look on his face. I said, Benny, you okay? And he said, I never sleep at all last night. And I said, oh, what's the matter? Sick? He said, no. He said, I worked for the man for many years, but not once did I ever step to the Kohala Sugar Company office. And now, tonight, me, one plantation laborer, I'm gonna walk through that door and I'm gonna sit down as an equal, face to face with the Vice President, Kakou and Cook. But now, the plantation plantation is done, gone. And so you gotta fend for yourself. And here you have Benny going, well, I don't work for him anymore. He's not taking care of me, so I gotta fight for what I believe in. And that's what impressed me. And later on, I submitted his story to the state. They would recognize organizations throughout the state that provided a service to their community. And I submitted Huima Malahoa with Benny's story. And Huima Malahoa was awarded the outstanding community organization in the state of Hawaii, and that was a big plus. But still yet, that they didn't bring us any closer to resolving the problem of access.
Kohala is not a place where people grew up protesting, fighting, demonstrating. It was a quiet community. This was a new problem, and most of the people just turned away from it and accepted that it was over, the land is closed up, and that's it.
Everybody dealt with things on a different level, but for myself, I wanted to find a way that I could still practice some of the things that I grew up with. I liked the freedom of being able to go when I wanted to go without asking for permission, without having keys. And so one of the ways that I decided to deal with the change was to create an environment or recreate an environment that I left.
I just crossed through. I just tried to ignore what was going on and continued the so-called lifestyle that I had. But then word was getting out that Sam and his friends are hunting up in that area, and so now we're getting into pressure. Ranchers would call me up, workers would come and see me, threaten me. We'd catch you up there, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And so it was a whole totally new way of doing business in Kohala as far as your lifestyle of gathering.
Cassie Cook was bringing forth a lawsuit of adverse possession. This presented an opportunity for Huima Malahoa to enter in as a complainant, seeking easements to all these different areas. The next thing we knew is Cassie Cook sent us boxes upon boxes, 8,000 pages of questions for the group Huima Malahoa to answer. We called up Tim, he came out and he laughed and he said, this is a tactic that these big, powerful attorneys use. They want to inundate us with all this paperwork where we want to give up and quit. And he's right. 8,000 pages of questions. We had to go out do community surveys. We had to go do a lot of stuff. I would have given up. But we had to find these guys who are willing to testify in court against Cassie Cook that they've used these roads all their lives. And a lot of the old timers filled out the application, and we submitted their testimony to court.
Yeah, we can come out ahead because we was grown up right here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And the end result was this. Judge Kubota ruled in our favor and said, Huima Malahoa had easement to Kapana, Hapu'u, to the Forest Reserve, over the Oi Road or Liquor Road. We also got access to down at Kapa'a Park to number 5s, for fishing and whatnot.
Whoa! All right, it's good. That's good.
I would bump into people, they would say, good job, man, right on, good job. And it wasn't me, it was you guys. Who was you guys? There was all of us that was involved. Each person had something to do. Mine might have been a little bit more extreme, though, but
I'm very grateful to the people who have food gathering, just providing for families, living Aloha Spirit, sharing whatever abundance that they've had through access of getting to the mountain and getting to the ocean. And I give them a lot of credit for their looking towards future generations to try to secure some kind of access to make sure that we can still have some of the rights of being able to go and enjoy what God has given us.
Now, the other side of that, there was another group of young men that took a different path to dealing with the access problem. And what they would do is at night, they would go out, cut gates, locks, chains, fences, and they would be doing this. And it became very frustrating for the police, for the rancher, the landowner.
I got threatened. I got threatened with death. I'll catch you in there, I'll shoot you, and got verbally abusive, cocked his weapon, pointed it to my dogs. What did I do? Cocked my weapon, pointed it at his horse. We neutralized, we walked away, and the police were all waiting down at the bottom of the main road. They arrested me, trespassing. Took all of my the meat that we had. Oh gosh, we were very successful that we got a lot of meat. They took everything. Took my firearms, our firearms. There was a couple other hunters with me. And they put me in jail for a few hours while they processed. But again, it wasn't it was like they were turning me into a criminal. Something that I did all my life. Now all of a sudden they're saying you're an outlaw, you're a criminal, you're a thief. It was hard to absorb all that.
But looking back, they played a role in securing access, and the role they played was, these guys were not going to give up. They were, venting their frustration and anger about their lifestyle being disturbed in such a way that it impacted their own families.
And that one day I went to court, all of the ranchers were outside. It was a challenge. These big ranchers here want to see the verdict if their Guzman is going to win and put them on the defensive. Some ranchers accepted and said, good job. Others never spoke to me again.
It kind of forced the landowner and rancher to kind of talk to us and find ways of how can we best deal with this problem. Like in every issue, you have radicals and you have the conservatives. In actuality, the end result is they actually help each other to achieve some sort of solution.
I think at that point in time, the community was still in basic survival mode. I don't think, if those things never got done, I don't think it would have ever happened.
The older I get, the more I find how important it is to keep the values of our kupuna. And I can do that in practicing. I can practice that by being in a space, a recreated environment that feels like home, that feels connected to the spirit of the land, the spirit of my kupuna. And that's one thing. Land and spirit is not separated. You cannot separate land and spirit from the Hawaiian. It's ingrained in them.
For us people in Kohala to see that what we were doing was really right, and what felt really right in our hearts was really important. And I think those guys, even though they felt, and maybe even at times questioned themselves what they were doing, was it really right, or are we being led down this wrong road or something? I think what everybody did was what they really felt was right in their hearts. And I think that was the most important thing. And it bypassed all the stink eyes, all the rumors about all of these guys only doing it for themselves just because they don't want a key, you know. But when you look back in history, I mean, now it's available to everybody.
The message to the youth has to be, you have a right to your land, you have a right to your heritage. Do not lose it by turning around the other way and not stopping to think of what you need to do. You must preserve your rights. You must stand up for your rights. You must use your access. Do not let anybody take these things away from you. So if you never do anything, you never say anything, and you just ignore it, you may lose something that is so very precious to you.
Don't do anything wrong down the beach. But today I hear all kinds of stuff going on down the beach. No, leave broken bottles and whatever. Leave the rubbish.
What's so great about Kohala is that we have that common sense by being stewards of our natural resources that connects us to the land and to the ocean. And that's what really gives us that balance of common sense. Because you can be really educated but be really stupid too. So my advice for the youth of Kohala is to be educated so that you can come back with sound decisions, weigh things out, never really compromise, but being able to make really sound decisions, and whether we're going to keep Kohala, whether we can have access that makes good sense to the benefit for the whole community and just not individuals.
Keep watch. Keep watch. Other people are moving in, other organizations, they don't see it the way we see it. They like to change it around. Preserve what you got. Do it, get knowledge. Do it knowledgeable way. Do it the legal way. And the legal way now is either to your councilman or to your lawyer. I didn't go that route. They can.
What would be my message for the youth today? When you go down to Kapanaya or to Hapu'u, or surfing down at even Lighthouse, try to remember that you're there because other people had the courage to sacrifice their time and energy, and also their reputation, so that the future generations of Kohala's children could enjoy what they enjoyed prior to the plantation and during plantation times, of having the freedom of easement to go to different places to maintain a Kohala lifestyle.
Kakou kapoe o ke ia ai a ke akua I koa I tula mai ka mua a hiki ka hopena o Kakou kapoe o ke ia ai a ke akua I koa I tula mai ka mua a hiki ka hopena o ke akua mai ka lani o mako mai ka vai e ho o ko ke kia kahi Mako e kukala O ke akua mai ka lani O mako mai ka vai E ho o ko ke kia kani Mako e kukala Kamana I mahele ka vai mako No ka mea ua lo'i ka pai o ana A ka ua lana kila a pono O ke ia kamana vai mahele ka vai mako No ka mea ua lo'i ka pai o ana A ka ua lana kila a pono Haina mai ka pua Ka poe o ke ia aina A ke akua I koa I lula Mai ka mua a hiki ka hopena Haina mai ka pua Ka poe o ke ia aina